Welcome to Speaking of That, where communicating with youth becomes an art. With over 46 combined years of experience, my daughter and I share what we learned about connecting with youth through laughter, learning, and especially heart. And along the way, you'll discover why your story matters.
Hi guys, I'm Dolly Lozano.
And I'm Ray Lozano, her dad.
Yay! And welcome to Speaking of That. Today we are traveling this entire week, so we don't have a studio to do our normal podcast, and we have a crazy busy schedule, so we are doing it on the road today. But that's honestly what being a public speaker is all about: adaptability, and every day is a little bit different.
Yeah, I was concerned about doing a podcast in here, but I'm not going to look at the camera. I'm going to keep my eyes on the road and concentrate so we get to our next speaking engagement. Safe and sound.
Safe and sound. You'll have to use your ears and your talker.
And you know what? We always have these great conversations in the car, and we're always like, oh my gosh, we should record that because that's great information. And then when we get to the hotel, we're either too tired or we forget to do it. And so, so we thought, let's just record it right here in the car.
Yeah, definitely. So today we are answering some Q&As from our DMs. If you have a question about public speaking, if you've been wanting to be a public speaker and you have anything you want to ask, drop it in the comments, email us, get in touch with us, and we will maybe answer your question.
Put a comment right here where you're listening. That'd be great.
Yeah. All right. Ready to jump into it?
Ready to jump in.
Oh, and real quick, we want to say, this podcast is not sponsored by anyone, but we do want to plug our Youth Speaker Blueprint, which is the whole reason why we're doing this, because we love public speaking, and we realized we want to help other people learn how to be public speakers as well. And so the Youth Speaker Blueprint, if you're thinking about being a public speaker, if you're in that stage where you're like, I have a story I want to share, but I'm not sure how, and especially if you have a heart for public speaking to youth, then check out Youth Speaker Blueprint. It just gives you all the basics. It takes your story, your passion, your style, and just adds in tips and tricks that work. How do you engage with the audience? How do you tell a possibly dangerous story without getting, the audience thinking that they want to do something dangerous too? All of that kind of stuff. How do you put it together? Which stories do you pick? Walks you step by step. So if you want to be a public speaker, check out the Youth Speaker Blueprint. And let's jump into it.
All right.
Question number 1. Lately, I've been wondering if purpose is something that shows up on its own when the time is right, or if it's more like something you can build step by step through different choices and effort. What's your take?
I love that. That's a good question. I don't think they're looking at purpose the right way, maybe. It's not like you order a meal and it comes and you have it. It's something that's ongoing all the time. What's your purpose? What are you doing? And I think as you continue to do what's inside you or what you feel you need to do, in time your purpose gets more focused. Like when I first started speaking years ago, I was talking on different topics, and I realized drugs and alcohol was eventually the topic that I landed on, and I realized this is my purpose. But it took me about 3 or 4 years to get to that place where I'm like, this is exactly what I want to talk about.
Yeah, I love that. When you were in that phase, were there times where you were like, man, I don't know if this is my purpose? Like, what were those doubting voices like?
Oh, yeah, totally. Totally doubting voices because I wasn't sharp. A lot of times kids would lose interest. I'd have people tell me, I remember this was a big one, your topic, nobody wants that topic. Nobody,
oh, wow.
And it was just crazy because they thought nobody wants to hear about drugs or alcohol. It's just not a topic. And even to this day, when they introduce us, or they introduce me and they're, say he's going to be talking about drugs and alcohol, or we're going to be talking about drugs and alcohol, you always get that one kid that's like, because that's normally what it is. And so I found a way to make it different, make it something that, schools want. And even today, we're driving away from a presentation where the teacher said, somehow you made it where the kids wanted to hear more and hear more and hear more. And that took a while to get to that spot.
Yeah, that is so true. And I think exactly like you said, I think the thing with purpose, is like you have your purpose I think you're not really supposed to know exactly what it is, because that's kind of the fun of trying different stuff and figuring it out. And then I think the other thing is like, you find it along the way. So I think it's kind of a combination of both. They said, you know, is it something that shows up on its own or something you create through choices? I think it's both. I think you take a step, you make a choice, and then you will definitely know whether or not it's the right one. And in that moment, it's really about listening and, you know, listening, like exactly like you said, when people are telling you that's not a topic that people want to hear about, if you feel passionate about talking about that topic, I'm going to say 100%, not even 99%, 100%, there are other people out there who want to hear about that topic as well.
And that's so true. And so one of the things that I know I had to do is I had to kind of like make a market for it. And then people are like, oh yeah, you know what? Our school is seeing that problem. You know, oh yeah, that's one of the things we need to talk about with our students. And so I kind of like dug into that market. So purpose is something. And then what's cool is, I don't know how it works, but it feels like purpose always drops little breadcrumbs or markers. Man, you're doing a great job. Man, you're having an impact with kids. Man, you're changing lives. Mr. Ray, thank you so much for the information and how you presented it. All of those always take as markers, like, oh, I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's so true. That was a good one. All right, next one. I've been trying to become a speaker for about a year now. Good job. And honestly, I still don't feel totally sure I've landed on my thing. But I've noticed that even talking about topics I'm unsure of sometimes starts to point me towards a direction I feel like I'm truly passionate about. Has that ever happened to you? What should I do?
Yes, that. You want to take this one first?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Because I feel like this is exactly my story. So when I started public speaking, you know, I was basically following in your footsteps. And, you know, I know we've told this story before, so a lot of you guys have probably heard it, but you were training another speaker who their passion was really drugs and alcohol also. And so you were training her, and then, you know, right before you guys were going to get super busy, she just quits. So then I'm like, whoa, let me step in and help out just so you find someone else. And so drugs and alcohol for youth are not necessarily the closest topic to my heart, but through speaking about drugs and alcohol to young people, and at the same time finding the stuff that was really close to my heart, I started to see that the message behind them was the same. So the message behind teaching young people about drugs and alcohol and the stuff that I like to talk about really is, whoa, this is important information. It should be easy to learn. It should be easy to understand. So that is where I really feel like my purpose is sharing this information that is really important for these young people to have. So even though drugs and alcohol is not my number one, you know, issue that's closest to my heart, I feel so much purpose understanding that this information is so important for these people to have.
Oh man, I love that. And then here's the deal on that, I think. Whatever you go through always teaches you something if you're always in a learning mode. So if you go through something that's, you know, let's say you order a pizza and you're like, oh, I'm going to try cashews on it. And you realize, I don't like cashews on my pizza. Well, you learn something. And you know, next time I won't order cashews. Or, man, I really like cashews on my pizza. And so every experience, every time you talk about something, maybe something you're not like accustomed to talking about, see what you can draw out of that. Like, oh man, I really didn't realize I would like talking about math that way. Or, you know, being homeless, or having a dad that was really rough on me, or good grades, all that kind of stuff. So you're always learning, always growing, always changing, and you're always finding topics. And if I had been stuck, you know, just with one topic, I would still be talking about alcohol, and it's something schools don't need right now, but they need the vaping information. So you always want to be growing, always want to be changing, always want to be stretching and seeing where all of that will take you down the road.
Wow, I love that. That's great. Is cashews on pizza? Is that a real thing?
You know what? I've had it one time and I really liked it, and I can't find any other place that does it.
You learn something new every day?
Yeah, right? And they were toasted. Man, they were delicious.
Whoa, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Last question for today. I've been seeing people completely change once they start telling their story.
Oh, yeah.
Like they walk taller or speak with more confidence. What's the biggest transformation you've witnessed when someone really steps into owning their story?
Yeah.
And that's good.
I got this one.
Okay.
Eye contact.
Oh, really?
Yes. Eye contact is the big one that I see. I can instantly tell when somebody's telling a story they've made up. I feel like I can. They've made up. They're a little bit ashamed to say it. They're a little bit embarrassed because I had a story like that. And I noticed I would always look down at my feet when I would say certain parts. And it wouldn't get a laugh and it wouldn't have any type of impact. But eye contact is the big one. If you can make eye contact with people when you're telling a story, you're going to make that connection. So the biggest transformation I have seen is eye contact, looking at your audience. Because young speakers, people that are just getting out there, I feel a lot of times are afraid to make that eye contact. They're afraid to look at their audience in the eye. And, when they're telling a story, because they're just being so nervous about it. And I get it. I totally understand that. And so that's one of the big things. When I can see a speaker that will make eye contact or point at somebody or make a gesture or see somebody in the crowd, I know there's one point in our presentation where we talk about your special talent, skill, or ability. And I'll say, how many of you are always getting in trouble for talking so much? And not normally, but a lot of times I'll see like a big group of kids in one section, maybe up near the top. And I'll be like, oh yeah, man, I'm always afraid when they get together like that because I know they're not going to pay attention. But other speakers that are new have trouble seeing those things because their brain is in this panic mode and they're trying to figure out what to say next.
That totally makes sense. Yeah. And then I think the other thing too is all of it compounds. So it's like if you're telling a story that is not your story or you're not passionate about it and you don't really like it, exactly like you're saying, you kind of look down and then the audience feels that. And then the response the audience gives back to you is kind of like, I don't know.
Right.
So then you feel that and then you walk out going, I don't know. And when you are speaking about something that you're passionate about, I know, like, for me, I love, telling the young people, like, you can do whatever you want in this world. Like, you can do this, you can do that, but don't let this happen. That kind of thing is really where I feel super passionate. And so I know that there's probably a handful. I lie to myself and tell myself there's not, but I know there's probably a handful of students that are like, well, this is ridiculous, kind of making fun of me or whatever. I don't care. But because I'm so excited, because I'm so passionate, because I feel like that's such an important message to share, I get so excited. And then whatever students in the audience I can tell really are like, wow, I've, never heard someone tell me it's tough to be a young person. I've never heard someone tell me I can do what I want in my life, or I can move out the city, or I can, do blah, blah, blah. I feel that from them.
Okay.
Then when I feel that from them, I walk out going, oh, thank goodness I was able to share a message that I wish someone had told me.
I love that.
And so that feeling gets me excited for the next one, So I think it compounds. Whatever direction you're heading, that's the direction you're going to keep heading. So if you're heading towards inauthenticity, you're going to get more and more inauthentic. You're going to get more and more, I don't like this. I don't think this is right. And the more that you can head towards what your authentic purpose is, what your message is that you want to share with the young people, the more it's going to feel great. The more the audience is going to feel great. The more they're going to give that greatness back to you. Yeah.
I love that. That's great how that works. And I love that information because I've seen speakers. I used to follow this one speaker all the time, and we always seem to end up at events.
That's funny.
And what was crazy about his story, and I'm not sure how, his story was always increasing.
Oh,
and
yes.
So it'd be like, oh yeah, one year me and my friend, we went down and we chopped 3 trees in a day. And then the next time he told us, oh, we chopped 3.5 trees in a day. Oh, we chopped, and then pretty soon it was like, we chopped 31 trees in a day, And I just watched the progression, and I realized that he was looking for a response from the audience, and he kept going up. And the more he would tell his story, the more unauthentic it became.
Wow.
And exactly what you're talking about. So you need to find that spot, and it needs to happen with the truth, right?
Yes.
So when I talk about Mrs. Lyons' class, I know there was a couple of times I was saying 8 hours, and I'm like, it wasn't 8 hours, it's just 5 hours of detention for talking in her class. And yeah, and so that is, how it was. So yeah, so you want to stick with the truth, and you want to find the authentic part in that.
That is so true. How interesting, because I think especially as adults, it's easy for us to feel like bigger's better, bigger's always better,
Right.
And the truth is, the more authentic you can be, that's what's always better.
Yeah, that's what's always going to hit. And I think speakers feel like, oh, these kids have heard this before, when they haven't.
Oh.
And so that was what was happening with this person, is it kept escalating. So be authentic.
How interesting.
Yeah, wrap all this up in one big
thought. The biggest thing, today the 3 questions that we grouped together were mainly about purpose. Finding your purpose. And I know that's something that all of us, as we're going through life, are kind of searching for. What's my purpose? Am I living my purpose? How do I find my purpose? And those are such great questions to keep asking, and then make sure that as you're asking those questions, you're doing the work to find the answers.
Right.
And that's where I think a lot of people will just kind of, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, figure it out. If you don't know, try something.
Right.
And exactly like you said, try it and you'll know whether or not it's something that works for you, just like the cashews on pizza, So if you're like, man, I sort of want to talk about this topic, try it, write a presentation, add some stories in there, see how it feels, and then you can always adjust. And as long as you keep heading towards authenticity and keep searching for your passion, actively searching, right, you will definitely find it. So
it's like trying on pants at the store. First pair may not fit, second pair too big, too small, then you eventually find it.
Usually for me it takes about 15.
Oh, does it?
I have a hard time with pants.
My purpose right now is to find a rest area on this road. So,
nice. Well, then let's go ahead and wrap it up. You guys, thank you so much for listening today. If you feel like you have a story you have to share, that means that you do, right? That's that sign. That's that passion. And so listen to that voice. If you feel like, I'm, feeling like I need to head towards this direction, head towards that direction. Find your purpose, find your passion, and tell your story, because your story matters.
Your story matters.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.